Howdy. So the other day, my friend and I watched an incredible piece of cinema that was so cliche and awkward that I felt like I had to make a video about it. It's called Home for the Harvest, a 2019 Mar Vista film with a surprisingly decent rating of 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb. For those of you that have seen Drew Gooden's video on Christmas Mail, you probably have a pretty good idea of what's to come, but for those of you that haven't, well, you probably want to after watching this pumpkin spiced abomination. Immediately, we're introduced to our female lead, Katie Taylor, a big shot, successful travel writer with an expensive taste. Her and her co-workers, Willa and Mary, are discussing Katie's next possible travel destination when she decides to diss the entire city of Austin, Texas.
Oh, and I've been to Austin. Bigger is not always better.
Subtle, I know.
That's true.
They also have a weird fixation on Bora Bora for some reason. You'll probably notice a lot more fixations throughout the movie. I'll put up a counter on the screen for the important ones. Katie meets up with her boss, who breaks the news to her that she'll be going back to her small hometown of Greenville for their annual harvest festival, and she is not happy.
We're talking about Greenville, the small town that you grew up in.
I think you guys can see where this is going. She sits down and talks with Willa about Greenville, and here's where we get a little backstory on Katie. We find out that she's essentially ghosted her sister, and everyone apparently hates her, including me. The next scene is particularly jarring for me, considering Katie is in a completely empty train station. Like, they couldn't even get a hold of a dozen or so extras to at least make the train appear in use. But oh no, my least favorite person's plans of getting a hotel room were shattered thanks to the Harvest Festival. Guess where she's staying?
I got your sister's number from your contacts.
Oh no, I am not calling my sister to impose.
You don't have to. I've already called and everything is set up and taken care of.
You did not call
Yep,
my sister.
Stalker Willa to the rescue. Here we have a brief ride with Mr. Frank Shannon, Katie's old school teacher and the most chivalrous man you'll ever meet. He'll even tell you about it.
Chivalry isn't dead yet.
Ah yes, the classic chivalry isn't dead line. Thanks, Frank. We're finally introduced to Katie's sister Paige. They talk about their clothes for a bit, and we meet Paige's daughter Maggie, who promptly gets white paint all over Katie's expensive skirt. After that, Katie and Paige sit down and have some sister bonding time. Talk about Bora Bora again and their dead mom and all that, blah blah blah. Anyway, we cut to the next day with Katie walking down the street, drinking coffee, and talking on the phone to Willa, when she bumps into a rather smutty looking man. We'll get back to that in a bit. Katie decides to blame the newfound man for a $300 blouse being stained. Any guesses on the male lead yet? Then she just storms off, angry about her handmade Joanna Jorn blouse with seemingly clear coffee on it. Katie sits down for an interview with restaurant owners Mr. and Mrs. Carlisle, which is so dull and unimportant that the lead character is only interested in fixing her shirt stain. Now here's where it gets real good. We have the pleasure of meeting Chad Porter, Katie's ex-boyfriend and likely serial killer. Something about him is just off-putting. He reminds me of Pennywise the Clown from It. So here we learn that one of the big reasons Katie left town was because Chad plagiarized an article that Katie wrote when they were younger. Yeah, that sounds like a Chad move. And it turns out Chad's parents owned the local printing company, which is now his. Keep that in the back of your mind. It'll come up later. Chad also mentions a party going on later that night to kick off the Harvest Festival and asks Katie if she'll go, which she shuts down pretty much immediately. Look, I may not like Katie, but that was a smart move on her part. At least she's not going to the party. Oh, never mind then. So Paige and Katie talk about the man she nearly trampled earlier when they spot Pennywise from across the room. Look at him, why is he always smiling? And of course, Katie's only lifeline in the situation, the only person that could have called the authorities, just walks away casually. She and the Joker make small talk for a bit before their song comes on the radio and cue the dance sequence. Chadley goes to get Katie a drink when lo and behold, him again. This time it's just water. but it's about to turn into steam because this man is making Katie hot and bothered.
As a matter of fact, if I would have known that the women in this town were as beautiful as you, I would have moved here much sooner.
The nameless male lead disappears just in time for Chadford to return with 2 drinks and for Katie to complain that she's tired and has to go home. Again, smart move, Katie. The next day we see Katie and her sister in the park doing yoga and giving us a beautifully dissonant minor second interval. When Katie gives us our first mention of
Avocado toast?
add one to the counter. So Katie and Paige decide to go get some breakfast when they come across that guy that might be the male lead again. Remember what I called him in the beginning?
I thought you said he had a pretty face.
Oh well, a guy can be smug and pretty at the same time. I call it smutty.
Anyone gonna tell them?
But you can't just smash 2 words together and make it a thing. Smetty will never catch on.
Smetty.
We find out that Mr. Smutty's real name is Noah James, but I'll keep calling him Mr. Smutty for posterity's sake. We cut to Mr. Smutty and Katie getting to know each other when we get our second mention of
Avocado toast.
and our third,
Avocado toast.
and soon enough we learn that Mr. Smutty's story is the opposite of Katie's.
I grew up in the big city. I always wanted to open my own restaurant, and I did. And when things didn't work out with my fiance, I wanted out of the rat race. I was tired of the hustle and bustle.
We get our fourth mention of avocado toast,
It's avocado toast,
and we're
right?
treated to Mr. Smutty's cooking show, where he gets to make Katie some.
Avocado toast.
With avocado toast.
But one thing I forgot to mention was that there's a cooking competition that comes with the Harvest Festival, for which Katie and Chadwick are both judges. Katie enjoys the
Avocado toast.
and Mr. Smutty decides to cut the interview short and get back to work, as he should. Katie goes back home and talks with Paige about the Smutsters.
Avocado toast. Avocado toast. Avocado toast. Avocado toast.
Side note, if you're looking for a fun drinking game to play with your friends, take a shot every time they say avocado toast. I tried this with my friend and I gave up about halfway through. Then Miss Avocado goes to tuck in Maggie when she drops this bombshell of a question.
Why don't you come visit us more? You do love Mom and me, right?
Nope. So the next scene is just Katie, Paige, and Maggie in a pumpkin patch, and the only real thing of note is this man hunched over taking a picture with a phone that's clearly off. I should point out, there's extras in the background of this scene. Where were they in the train scene in the beginning? Anyway, Katie decides to attempt a quick glance at Mr. Smutty. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm calling him Noah. So Katie tries to peep on Noah when he catches her in the act and invites her to get some ice cream. We get a little bit of Noah's backstory where he opens up a bit about his ex-fiancée, how they didn't really see eye to eye on their direction and all that jazz. And Katie is realizing that Greenville isn't all that bad now that she's got a smutty-looking man to stare at. But uh-oh, here comes Chadwick power walking up behind Katie. They talk about their newspaper articles for a little while, and he awkwardly sort of hits on her and invites her out for coffee or tea or something.
I don't see why not.
And she accepted the invitation. She's a goner. Katie talks with Frank for a bit about how she's been warming up to being back in town again, and we get the classic
Chivalry's not dead.
before Frank takes her off to see Noah at his farm. Noah and Katie have a seat and start discussing pumpkin spice lattes and how there's no pumpkin in them. Of course there's no pumpkin in them. That would taste terrible. And besides, it's called pumpkin spice. It's the spices from the pumpkin pie that are used, not the pumpkin itself. Anyway, Noah calls a row of trees pumpkins for some reason, and they decide they're going to add pumpkin to their lattes. They go out to the field of already cut and dried pumpkins and have a little fun photo shoot and pick out what's not even a sweet pumpkin. I thought they wanted farm fresh edible pumpkins. Do they even know the difference? They end up bringing it back to the restaurant to try out the pumpkin latte, and
Ooh, that is horrible.
told you.
I'm just kidding.
Never mind. I guess the latte has some therapeutic effect on Katie as she starts reflecting on the fact that it wasn't only Chandler that caused her to leave, but a combination of Chaddington and her sick mom. Katie and Noah share a meal and they share a cute little slow dance with each other, and I'm not going to play the music for copyright reasons, so I decided to add my own. But uh-oh again. Chadifer happens to walk by and catch a glimpse of the slow dance through the restaurant window. Now Chatterella has 2 graves to dig. We jump to the next day where Paige starts questioning Katie about her indecision with Catalina and Noah, when Maggie drops another bomb on her mom.
Come on, Maggie, come give me a hug. I gotta go to work.
I'm too busy right now.
Get wrecked, Paige. We jump forward again, but this time to Chad, Isha, and Katie very awkwardly reminiscing about their high school days, and we get this even larger bomb from Chatelaine.
Katie?
Yeah.
I love you.
No, Chad, no. Katie, run. Run, Katie, run. Right now. Katie, oh my god, he's gonna kill you. So Katie shuts that down. Chadsky thinks of how to dispose of evidence, and I'm realizing there are way too many short scenes with almost zero substance in this movie. Katie and Noah are hanging out, talking about the cooking competition I mentioned earlier, and Katie thinks he should enter...
Avocado toast. Your avocado toast.
The man only added lemon and pepper to it. It's not some exotic combination. But then out of nowhere we get this beautiful scene.
What are your true feelings?
Of course we get the cell phone cut off. Katie then awkwardly walks away from that whole interaction and leaves poor little Smutster to ponder, and then we just cut to the next scene. Here we have our favorite serial killer showing up to Noah's restaurant, and he does the most Chad-esque thing possible. He orders
Avocado toast?
Avocado toast.
Then he pulls out a gun and shoots Noah. Right in the face. He's dead. That's it. That's the end of the movie. No, I'm just kidding. He just starts spreading lies.
I was out on a date with Katie Taylor, and she said you made it for her.
A date with Katie.
Yeah.
That smile says it all. Chadrickson then hands Noah a fake story in the newspaper that was supposedly written by Katie, and essentially tells Noah that his whole experience with Katie was just for a story. A Chad Elias move for sure. The next day, Katie walks into Noah's restaurant and is met with some heavy sass from the smutster himself when she finds out about Chaddick's little fake article. Oh no! An easily solvable misunderstanding? Whatever will they do? What confuses me about this scene, and sort of throughout the rest of the movie, is why doesn't anybody believe her? Why would she lie to everyone's faces about having such a great time, then turn around and tell her serial killer clown ex-boyfriend that she doesn't like the town or anyone in it? None of this makes any sense! So Katie goes to the Carlyle's restaurant to confront Pennywise, whom she then throws a bagel at and hits him with something a little harder.
You want a quote, Chad?
Sure.
I'll give you a quote. Cover your ears, Mr. Mason.
That silence was there. I did not add it. Anyway, Paige reads article, Paige not happy, Katie frustrated, Katie leave, useless scene about mac and cheese, and Frank drops some surprisingly good life advice.
In life, people make a big decision because either they're being pushed away from something or they're being pulled in to something. And the older you get, the more you realize that those things that push you away should never have been given that level of power.
Darn it, Frank, chivalry isn't dead. So Katie decides to stay in Greenville thanks to old man Frank and rushes off to the food competition to find Paige. Katie apologizes to her, Paige forgives her immediately, and they hug and make up, but not without another two for the books.
Now go get Mr. Smitty.
Oh, you're right. Smitty doesn't work.
Katie has her big monologue about coming to love Greenville, sends Pennywise back to the Shadow Realm, and gets the kiss from Mr. Smutty. And they all lived happily ever after. Told you this movie was cliche. Oh, also, Mr. and Mrs. Carlisle won the contest. I thought I should just let you guys know. So that's Home for the Harvest. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is my first time making a long video like this. So thanks for hanging out. This movie really had just about everything in it, you know? Small town, dead parents, you know, misunderstandings, chivalry, and most importantly, avocado toast made by Mr. Smutty.